Wait, whoa, hold on. What year is it? Because did Muse just drop a hot new album?
Let's push the emperors into the ocean. Don't need a gun to
I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Muse have actually done it. They've released an album, and I think I like it. I think I like it quite a bit. That's a teaser for what's to come. We're gonna dive deep into this. As an intro, hi, I'm Racket. I've been a Muse fan for 19 years. It feels like several centuries with how things have gone over the years with Muse. I have done a few of these things. Most for this album, I used to do a lot of like talking on posting like audio links on Twitter for like the last number of Muse albums, for good and for bad, for how I felt with the last number of Muse albums, and yeah. So there will be timestamps here for this intro, and then leading into my thoughts on each individual song. But yeah, so like we're gonna be here for me just talking through what I feel as someone who's been listening to this album now for 36 hours, and how my 19 years of being absolutely obsessed with Muse, to the point that there was many years where they were like literally the only band I would listen to, except for maybe throwing on like a Kasabian or Editor's album in my teenage years sometimes, whenever I was feeling a bit bored of Muse for 5 minutes before I was like, nah, let's go back to Muse. So yeah, I'm one of those obsessive musers who managed to fall off them massively, and I am, spoiler alert, back quite a bit on this. So yeah, I guess let's just talk. I'll talk a bit more about myself, just to like get across, like if you, for anyone that may want to relate to anything, about how I feel about Muse. So I became a fan in 2003 with the release of Absolution. Pretty much the release of Time Is Running Out and Stockholm Syndrome as singles hooked me right in. I had heard of them before. I'd seen them before on music television. I guess Crying and all that, if they were still going back then, with Plug In Baby. And Matt Bellamy scared me in that video so much in the intro that I was like, nah, mate, I'm good. And then managed to avoid Muse for 2 years before they did hook me in. And hook me in they did. Absolution to this day remains my favourite album of all time. Black Holes is like right up there. And so is Origin. And so many more Muse songs are like in there, like my top like 100, top 50, top 20 songs. Like Muse took over my music life very much. And that meant a lot to me, and they mean a lot to me, and a lot of my online friends came through the Muse forums and Twitter then over the years, and the Muse groups and all that. So it's long been a case where like a Muse has been a big portion of my life and have given me so much. And so I started going to gigs then whenever I was 19 with Muse, because I didn't go to gigs before that, being a timid country boy and not really having anyone to go with. But meeting people through the Muse message board and all that, it was like, I'm 19 now. It is time to go to a Muse gig. 5 years of being a fan, I was like, I have to see them now at the end of the Black Holes tour. With me being so obsessed with this album, Resistance came along. I still kept going to gigs. Wembley 2010, September 11th, 2010 is one of my favorite gigs of all time. Still. I then got one tickets to the Roundhouse for London for 2012. I enjoyed the Second Law quite a bit, not as much as even the Resistance at the time, but I think the Second Law's outgrown that. And like going on then, I didn't enjoy the 2013 tour, so I started falling off a bit. Then the Psycho tour, I got to go to the Belfast Ulster Hall gig because I'd always dreamed about them doing Ulster Hall again, because I knew that was like the smallest venue in Ireland that really ever played, at least near me, and that blew my mind and reconnected me with Muse like never before. And then like within the year or about a year later, before the arena tour hit, I was already feeling I didn't want to go. I kind of fell off drones, and or the majority of drones, and it was like for the first time I felt my love of Muse dropping off. And those were my last gigs until this year with Muse, 2016. So 6 years. Simulation Theory came around, and I hated Dig Down whenever that released. Thought Contagion was all right, but I thought it was a bit of novelty. Dark Side I love, and I think it's one of Muse's best songs, even if I've got problems with it, which we'll come to later, for it being too long, and how that comes into this album and the way Muse put these songs together on Will of the People. And yeah, that's it. I noped out of even thinking about going to the Simulation Theory stadium tour gigs, and because I was like, I really don't like Muse's stadium stuff. I would rather wait for them to do arenas at best, but preferably smaller venues. And yeah, here I am, already having tickets to Plymouth next year and looking at possibly other gigs maybe on the tour. I am fully back in, and that is a good portion of this year, and Muse have really brought me back. I feel more connected than ever with them. Map It Up the Problematique is my favourite song. Before that it was Bliss. And yeah, so Absolution is my favourite album of all time. So that is like the rundown on me, the attempt at a quick rundown. And yeah, I do a lot of this talking about Muse, and one of the main things that I fell off them with is I hate Matt's lyrics, especially in albums 5 through 8. Quite a bit. Supremacy, I hate the brainwashing our children to be mean stuff. Just I find a lot of Matt's lyrics went terrible, cheesy places, and not in a good way. Like, I'm a fan of cheesy. I like Muse. So obviously I'm a fan of cheesy stuff, like Origin and all that was full of cheese and all that. So, but like it went cheese in the wrong way, and it didn't feel like. I felt that there was just something lacking in Muse's songs through both the songwriting and the lyrics over the last few albums. And that has been remedied, I feel, in Will of the People by a long distance. But we will talk about that. So yeah, that is where I stood with Muse. The singles as the release. We're gonna do the album listen now and talk through in album order. But Won't Stand Down obviously released first, and that hooked me back in massively. Compliance released, and Compliance is one of my favorite songs of all time now. Top 5 Muse song for me at least, I think. But you know, it's settled around there. It's been 5 months now. I love that song. I think that's clear now. It's gone past like any possible novelty stage. For how much I love that song, it's like currently the song of the year currently. And went to the Hammersmith Apollo gigs, both of them, and had the time of my life with my friends, who like my first gig after the pandemic, and people I hadn't seen in well over a decade, and people I hadn't even met before who I was really close to online and that. And it was a really special couple of days and a really special couple of gigs, and that has somehow carried on to be an even more amazing summer, and Muse blowing me away with this album. Literally blowing me away. So how's about we start talking about the album?
Let's push the emperors into the ocean. Don't need a gun to flood with devotion. With every hour our
So, Will of the People, the third single released not long after the Hammersmith Apollo gigs, and tell you what, tell you what, I didn't love it as much as Compliance and I Must Stand Down First. It was like the weakest of the three for me, but it was still really up there. And I really like Panic Station as one of my like top 10 songs of Muse, and this reminded me of a lot of that, of like just so fun, and the instrumentation is so fun, and I really like the lyrics, and I like, I mean, I know a lot of people came round on it after Matt said, "Oh yeah, this is like meant to be the opposite of Uprising," but like, you know, like he talks about throwing baby out with the bathwater, and you know, he literally calls the people sheeple. So it was obvious that this was going to be critical of like uprisings and all that, and this was like, I guess, going against the grain of where normally Matt would be. So I was really happy to see that, especially, you know, considering all we had going on over the last number of years, and then how this album is touching on everything we've had through the pandemic, and this, you know, being about the January 6th coup attempt in Washington DC, and all the bullshit around Trump and all that. So having this song show Matt was like, you know, could see that, you know, like these people are idiots and all that. Like, you know, it worked well because I know that like the right wing tried to, oh, like Uprising and all that, always try to hook themselves in with certain Muse songs and all that. But I think this worked out really well in just sorting itself out as a really fun, funky song where Matt actually had a bit of a point, and it's like not much, like, you know, it's not a deep song. It's just, you know, like someone being a bit sarky about people and their reasons for protesting, and being willing to fuck themselves over to get that protest, and all the angst in that, and you know, as the lyrics say, let's move over to the lyrics then from MuseWiki, taking them right from MuseWiki. So, like, you know, you can go see that, you know, it's all about we need a revolution so long as we can stay free. You know, and obviously throwing the baby out with the bad water, and every second the anger increases, and we're going to smash the nation to pieces. You know, people letting their anger get the better of themselves, and letting their emotions like just be willing to destroy everything, even if it makes things worse for them, just because they feel like they should, just because they've been lied to so much, and their faux outrage, or like the real outrage that we based on like bullshit excuses and reasons is has completely blinded them to take things apart. And I thought that was a really nice little, you know, it was like, it felt like an evolution in Matt's like general political songs, and it made a change. And then, you know, I really liked the guitars. I think the toms that Dom was playing through the chorus sound so fantastic, and are some of the best sounding drums Muse have recorded by far, for how clean and good in the mix they feel. And that like permeates through the album for how good this album feels from a production and mixing standpoint. I really love this album, and I have long hated Muse for their production as well, but we're at a point now where they've really improved in that, and I am so happy with that. I really am. Then add in how like catchy the chorus and the melody is, and the "Welcome to the Desecration Baby" will build you up and tear you down. It's catchy, it's fun. I love Matt's little hip gyration that he does live with it, and it's a really good opener. I think it's a really good opener. It's not my favorite album opener. That still is "Take a Bow," but like "Take a Bow" is like an all-timer, and this song is still really fun. And we've got a solid base here for the album, a solid third single, and it's not quite Panic Station, but it still feels really fun, and it's not got lyrics that I absolutely cringe at, and it's not got a thought process that I'm like iffy about. And again, that instrumentation across the board is really good. It's a pretty basic but solid effort from Chris. And I really like the guitar tone and that glam rock vibe that vibes through it. And how it feels very like Mark Bolan mixed, you know, like I know people are making a big deal about the whole Will of the People thing sounding like sounding like Marilyn Manson, but like in the end, it's changed up enough that it really doesn't come close to being what Beautiful People is in an intro and all that, you know. Especially whenever you add in the will of the, and it stands on its own as a separate thing, and I think people who still will bleat on about the song sounds like too much Marilyn Manson just want to just hear that and will not let themselves get over it, is my own opinion. Like I'm not gonna deny, like whenever the album video first leaked and it was just the chat with no music and all that, like yeah, it's like maybe it could have went Beautiful People, but like the song has ended up so different. And then again, as I say, with the will of the part, like it's changed enough that that's out of my head now, and I think they've done a good job with messing around with everything, and again providing that really solid base for where we are with the album. I'm happy. I really am happy. And again, I like the way that it ends up with Sheeple being part of it. And solid effort. And I'm happy that that Matt branched out. And like, again, this comes as the third song. So factoring into how I felt about the album, this came after Compliance and seeing where Matt's mind was going. So like I obviously felt like, you know, we had a good gateway, seeing as we already had 30% of the album by the point this song came out then, including this song, and I was happy with where it was going. So it lended itself to a good period of time and where Muse were going. So yeah, that is Will of the People. I've talked about it before a bit on the Kill or Be Killed video because I didn't do like a separate video for this by itself. But right, well, on to song number 2.
Compliance. We just need your compliance. You will feel no pain anymore. No more defiance. We just need your compliance. Just give us your compliance. We won't let you feel lost anymore. No more self-reliance. Fall into line, you will do as you're told. No choice, fatigue, your blood is running cold. We lose control, the world will fall apart. Love of your life will mend your broken heart. Life lived in fear, you need protection. You're all alone, too much rejection.
All right, Compliance. I love it. I love it so much. I am in love with this song. It's got so much that I love. It's like, so the vibe I got off it whenever I first heard it was like Easily, in terms of how the bass led the pop song and how things went around it and since and that, you know. So it's not exactly the same song obviously as Easily. It's a very different thematically and instrumentally and all that, but like just that bass part and how the bass led the choruses and the opening and all that and the verses just made me think Easily so much. And I love Easily very much. And yeah, like Compliance then was the second single. We already had Won't Stand Down. And I as I said, I really like Won't Stand Down, but like still apprehensive about where things were going. And Compliance was like the first look into being like, wow, Matt has actually changed in terms of how he writes songs, I think. And he seems to have learned a lot of from where things were with Simulation Theory, where things felt like they went on just too long, or they didn't have like interesting little changes or enough variation, that it was just like repeat ad nauseum of mediocre parts. Again, like, so Simulation Theory then, as much as I love the Dark Side, I find like it's maybe they could have tightened it up maybe about 30 seconds shorter. Pressure feels like it could also be like 30 seconds shorter, and Muse suffered with that for a long time, where it felt like they were making songs longer than they needed to be, just because they felt like songs had to be like a certain length or something, and albums had to be a certain length. And Also around the release of Compliance was whenever we saw the track lengths for the album, and we. Like that's whenever it was like, oh, this album's only like 37, 38 minutes long or something like that. This is short for Muse, and that was like, and 10 songs as well. So like, even with like another 3-4 minute song, it's still only just about breaking the 40-minute mark. So it's like, okay, this is shorter than normal. Only 3 songs are above like 4 minutes. Okay. I was annoyed at first because like, oh, Muse are shortchanging us. But then like, as it became more obvious that like the songs were good and crafted well, it was like, and then remembering back to the whole stuff about like how I found songs to be too long sometimes with Muse, whenever they shouldn't be. It was like, right, okay, this is it. This is what I asked for. Maybe we can actually like move forward and really maybe they've learned their lesson, and like Compliance again really felt like it was the start of that. Like, you've got that bass hook, you've got amazing drums, amazing drum fills, the synths are out of this world amazing. You've got that Knight Rider guitar bit in the second part of the verses, and you've got like just this amazing general vibe to it, and I love it, and I love the lyrics, and I've got a long Compliance video of me talking through it, but to cut that long story short and just do I try and do a shorter version of the thing, seeing as I could talk about all these songs for a similar length and end up with like a 10-hour video. The lyrics touched me quite a bit because it felt like Matt focusing on his own past, being a bit introspective of his own past and conspiracies, and I was also into conspiracies at the time, and then looking at the modern world and how easy it has been for certain people to tap into like angry, especially like white young men on the internet, and radicalize them a bit, and like not just that, like across the board, like you see it in so many different areas of life now, where like you and that is echoed with the "we can save you," and then like the chorus "save you" in the background, like you can hear like the group trying to like really push in that with a cult brainwashing someone and that kind of thing, or like trying to support someone and take advantage of that vulnerability. And we have what you need, just reach out and serve, and touch and all this stuff. And it's like, it is. Let's move over to the lyrics quickly. It's haunting almost, especially with the whole save you thing. Like it was haunting, and it's really amazing for Matt to do that, because again, I know where he was with conspiracies and all that, and I was in a similar place in like in the 2000s, and this progression of his thought process and where he was going in life, and again, like putting this in the modern world, and how this album started to appear to be like this really interesting take from Matt on the modern world, and a word that I'm going to use a bit more later on, grounded, how grounded Matt feels in his themes on this compared to what we had with drones, and how silly that was with like drones having to be mentioned in nearly every song, and then Simulation Theory being all about the simulation VR stuff. Like, I like his nerdy side, but I don't think he did a good job with the synthwave stuff or approaching that concept. And the concept of drones, I just don't think worked, because the lyrics just weren't there. There was no, like, it wasn't grounded, and it just felt like Matt was just like, throwing in funny things, whereas this felt like it came from it was more earnest. It came from the heart more, and it came more from experience, and it felt like Matt was actually tapping into real emotion, and that comes through so much in like nearly every song in this album, and that is so welcome, and I think has really helped him improve his lyricism. Like the lyrics here, my favorite ones are "Our toy soldier, you do the dirty work. So loyal to us will take away the hurt. We have what you need, just reach out and serve." I always thought it was touch, but whatever. We'll go with what music he says here. Seeing as I can't understand Matt half the time anyway. And you got your cover your tracks. We know what's best for you. You've bitten off much more than you can chew. Like, pointing at how people are getting taken advantage of and how they end up in so deep that they're easily able to be taken advantage of, and these people know that, and they're able to take that and twist it into their own whims, and that is absolutely scary because you can see it so much. And I know Matt knows that quite well from knowing about where he was with conspiracies and stuff, so having that like emotional investment and connection really help with the song. And again, like, instrumentally, it's one of the best things I've ever heard, and I just love the synths. It's such a vibey song, and just like bouncy song. And then hearing it live, and then with the added guitar that they threw in live through the choruses that really burst through, and then the explosion from the confetti cannons, I guess replacing Mercy at this point, it just adds so much life to a song that already has a ton of life, and it's just so fun yet scary at the same time. And that is absolutely marvelous songwriting, and I really salute Matt for where he went with the lyrics. And it felt like he didn't fall back on his usual tropes or easy lyrics, I guess. Like, it's not saying that there's complex lyrics that are out there. Like, it's a solid base and a solid foundation for emotional investment, and that's all you need. And it felt like Muse were lacking that for a long time, and this album has that in spades. And like, I love Bliss and Ma Problematique, and they're like a bit out there and basic, sure, lyrically, but there's like so much earnestness to it, and there's just so much emotion pumped in, and you can really feel Matt's heart involved, and you can really feel Matt's heart involved in this, and it's just a wonderful feeling to have. And yeah, so again, I've got a compliance video on the channel that delves a lot deeper into my thought process, and that I could talk about compliance forever, with it being like my favorite song for the current moment. So yeah, right, on to the first new song of the week that I hadn't heard before yesterday or the day before. Liberation. Let me switch back to the to Chandler Bing Bing. Liberation.
Silenced, you'll make us feel silenced. You stole the airwaves, but the air belongs to us. And violence, you'll make us turn to violence. You've left us choiceless, our backs against the wall. No more, and we have plans to take you down. We intend to erase our place in history. Soon you'll be left with nothing, so I guess we should thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We've had enough. Thank you for playing your part in our liberation. And losing the world.
All right, Liberation. I cut it off at one of my new favorite bits because you couldn't really hear it too much in the leak, but yeah, Liberation. Immediate United States of Eurasia vibes once the Queen style vocals and harmonies and that pop in, which isn't a bad thing. And I think it really improves on that, and because it doesn't have that Middle Eastern vibe, and I think the choruses work a lot better. And with it being such a tighter song compared to what they were doing around the Resistance time, even. At least with United States of Eurasia, I feel it works really well. Now, it's again, like, United States of Eurasia was like based on this whole thing, about like combining Eurasia and a big thing about geopolitics and all that. So while it was grounded in a real world thing, this like obviously is much closer to what people feel. It's involving yet more protests. It's a mix of the Black Lives Matter stuff and that kind of thing, and the pushback against that, and the people fighting back against or trying to push back and keep people down, just adding fuel to the fire that is burning for these people to to liberate themselves. And this is like, I guess, going back to more like of an uprising thing, but it's not the typical Muse thing in that it is very focused on like I mean, I guess the people like the white nationalists and supremacists and the general what do you call it, like just this the system holding, like, say, black people down in terms of the Black Lives Matter stuff and everything else, and just a take on that. And I find the lyrics in this one as well then to be also pretty good. I really like the you'll make us feel silence, you stole the airwaves, but the air belongs to us. I find that a really solid lyric. I mean, the violence you'll make us turn to violence is what it is. It's nothing too good. But like coming after that, you stole the airwaves thing. It's like, okay, this song has already built up a really good lyric to start off with, and touching on, like, again, stuff that we've seen and stuff that we've seen over the last 2 years, and the whole world is watching through the pandemic and all that. So sounds good. And then whenever you break into the chorus and you have the Queen stuff come in, really adding power to it and just giving that like solid 80s feel, and I like really adding to like the Muse feel to it, and where Muse have taken that old Queen style harmonizing and pushing that forward has been fantastic. And I think it works well with like this, like the groundswell of feeling that like people can start fighting back with this and hopefully get change, and that there is now time, that this is now the time, and this is like the time to really go at it, and more people are just adding fuel to the fire, and just really that the more you fight back, the more they try and keep you down, but then that's just making you fight back harder and start winning against it. And making sure that you will not back down, and again, that you won't be silenced any longer. And then the lyric there, you'll send the army to trample on our prayers, and silence will no longer be silenced. I love that. And I love that how, like, the National Guard and all that was sent out against the BLM stuff, and I just find it like to be a good solid focus on like how that built up. What obviously Matt and myself don't have a real deep understanding of how all that could feel, but I think it's a really solid like look at how that, again, that groundswell can happen, and how, and just these people fighting back against this, and it feels like it's got more heart than like an uprising or whatever, and the typical Muse trope at this point of like fighting back against the unseen, that anyone can adopt the whatever side. Like, this is like fully in on what the BLM stuff was, and you can see the side being taken, and just that anger, and I thought it was like a decent look at that anger. There are a couple of actual music points that I want to play through here now that I find interesting. So, like, as we continue now through this part of the verse,
I'll send the army to trample on our prayers.
Like, I love that lyric.
And silenced will be no longer silence.
So like that.
You'll hear our voices. They'll rise even though we're under siege.
Yeah, and then you've got that like Queen style synthy coming in with the, I guess, like a effect on the piano or whatever, or just like a synthy thing, whatever. I don't know music that enough to know which instrument that could possibly be, but like, again, very United States of Eurasia, but done in a different fashion. And again, feeling very grounded compared to like the sweeping Middle Eastern, like, just like vibe to Eurasia, now having this be just more grounded and have it be so focused on the actual uprising, pardon the pun, and all that, and protest and all that is interesting. But yeah, so like that part of the verse, just that little boom bass in the background just bubbling under, as if like they're being carried along before they like go again and go crazy. And well, crazy is probably a wrong word to use because that sounds bad, but like, like go and do that push forward is pretty good. And then the next point that I want to go to, let's see if I can skip ahead a bit. Too far. So yeah, that bit there with like the regime revocation and then the harmonizing with the "You'll Be Left with Nothing." I find that just to be like Muse's best use of the Queen style vocals. It sounds so good. And then to finish it off, then they actually go like where I wouldn't expect them. So like you expect Muse to like go on this deep ride and just like keep building, and with this being a song about this uprising and all that, you think like it's going to be huge and it's going to be bombastic. Muse are known for their bombast, so where do we go with it instead?
Thank you for playing your part in our liberation.
So yeah, like that ending, like the way it ends, like so delicately and like almost like a reflective style to what's going on, and the way the vocals go and change, and it no longer becomes this bombastic Queen thing, and does become more grounded and more focused and more solemn, is I think beautiful, and is a little evolution in what Muse do, because it feels like that's not something they would have done with the actual part of the song. Because I know that like Collateral Damage came after Eurasia, but that's still like a separate part in terms of it being a reflection, whereas this feels like more melted. This is obviously more melted in the song because this is Muse like still doing it and not like adding on something else to be the reflection. It is the song itself actually becoming it, and like that's not what I expected this song to go. And it, like, Liberation for me is one of the weakest songs on the album, and I still love it, and I still think it's like really genius, and it's going to be very hard to get an album that's like 10s across the board, but this is still really good. As my friend Lauren said, like for her it's an A, and that's probably around where this is for me. And now that you know that this is like one of my weakest songs on the album, like now you know why I just need to talk about this and how much I love it. If I really like this and really like the vibe that they're going with and really like Matt's lyrics in the weakest song or one of the weakest songs on the album, wow. It's really beautiful, and I can't wait for it to grow on me, especially now that I can hear seeing as again the flak rips off the vinyl didn't have the lost a lot of the texture depth and was very flattened compared to like the official release here and the official FLAC release, the high bitrate audio stuff. So yeah, that's that. On to the next one then, I guess. Won't Stand Down.
I never believed that I would concede and let someone trample on me. You strung me along, I thought I was strong, but you were just gaslighting me. I've opened my eyes and counted the lies, and now it is clearer to me. You are just a user and an abuser, living vicariously. I never believed that I would concede and get myself blown asunder. You strung me along, I thought I was strong, but now you have pushed me under. I've opened my eyes and counted the lies, and now it is clearer to me. You are just a user and an abuser, and I refuse to take it. I'm playing you at your own game.
All right, well, I wanted to play that through a bit more into the second verse, or the next verse after the chorus, just because of the transition, because I love that transition, and I love how the song is and how the song feels. So yeah, One Stand Down was the first one that was released. I have a video up on that. My feelings, I've changed a bit because it's been like 7-8 months now. I mean, it's basically 8 months since Matt kind of revealed it with his video of Bing in the car at Christmas. So what a song. What an absolute tune. Switch over the lyrics quickly before I get into it, but like, what a song. Like, you just come in softly, and this is like the introduction to the new Muse era. So this is where we were finding out what we were going to do at Muse and where Muse were going to go, and I was blown away. The the first thing we heard was like the riffage and all that, and the breakdown from Matt recorded over his phone from his Tesla. And the actual song itself, whenever it came out, just blew me away. The boom boom bass and how that goes, and with the lazy just drum, the really good lazy drumming through the verse, and Matt's flow and vibe and how those lyrics are. I really love the lyrics, and this was like, I thought like this was, the lyrics really sucked me in, and I couldn't, like, if you had told me even back then that like this was really a sign of where things to come, like I fully expected Matt to just to like fall apart with some of the lyrics and for it to go back to the typical Muse stuff that I've grown to expect over the last, say, 10 years. But no, this was like solid, and it has remained solid. And so like just that flow of, I never believed that I would concede and let some trample on me. You strung me along, I thought I was strong, but you were just gaslighting. I love the way he says gaslighting. Just that flow and the way his vocals work, and then like having that soft flow with the powerful bass. So it's already a powerful song, but then having it go into like the compressed down, condensed guitar that then explodes into that chorus. And Matt's soaring vocals with the soaring synths mimicking like an orchestra, just rising up, and just you can really feel that emotion coming out, and with it being a song about bullying and being a song about fighting back against that again, and having, and not having that typical thing of Muse of just being like anyone, anything that could apply to anything. This being more targeted, like a bullying aspect, and being able to like, you can just feel that bubbling anger and anxiousness and anxiety just explode out through Matt with the chorus and through the instruments, and that feel of like fighting back against someone that you were bubbling, that you've got things bubbling up, like the verses is that emotion bubbling up while you're being abused, and then just having that explode is just amazing. And then going back to that, having your first like outpour, and then that transition back into the condensed down, like bubbling up and being held back or whatever, is a marvelous transition. And the production and mixing in this song is perfect. I love it so much. It really stood out whenever like the official release came and how good it sounded. Because again, like I used to listen to like Black Holes and Absolution live bootlegs of gigs and that, because I legit hate a lot of Muse's studio stuff for how bad it can sound, for either how weak it sounds or how like bad things are in the mix. But this sounded so good, and everything sounded so good and alive, and yeah, and like I my favorite lyric is the "Now I'm coming back, I kind of attack a psychological war. I'm cutting you in, I'm under your skin." Like, I just love the way he says psychological war, and how a lot of this is just sung, and the enunciation and that flow is so good. And then like getting that live with the Hammersmith Apollo blew me away as well. It was such a good opener, and let's go to one of my favorite bits quickly. I love I love it. I'm just smiling here and bobbing my head to it. That breakdown and how heavy it sounds, and then like the growls and all that, and the won't stand down. Like it's just not something I expected Muse to do and to come out with, and just yeah, like wow. Wow, like it still blows me away. And Dom's drums are fucking amazing, and the snare sounds so clean and so good, and the double kick and everything, and just there's just so much. And Chris's bass and just the guitar tone, like this is just like the perfect rock song, and it smacks you. And it was such a great introduction to this era because it really does smack you down. Like I guess the protagonist in this is like trying to smack down the bully, just it bubbles up and it just explodes out in this like controlled chaos, I guess, and it is wonderful. It's so wonderful to hear live, and it was such an amazing opener. One of the people ended up being a really fun opener, I guess, looking at the festival. But like having "Won't Stand Down" be the actual opener for both Hammersmith Apollo gigs was the perfect comeback to Muse, and I am so thankful for this song, especially now, like thinking about it and where it has taken me in the journey of this year. Like again, I was apprehensive after this, and even still, compliance, and even still, right up until the week of album release, it was like, where is this gonna go? And just this whole year from this song, I can plot the journey from this song. So this song is gonna mean a whole lot to me forever. And yeah, right on to Ghosts. How can I move on? So what I'm gonna do is to really get the juxtaposition between the songs. I'm gonna play the end of "Won't Stand Down" into Ghosts because it is certainly something.
Now and then, my mind drifts to a place where I find you, lost in my head. There are unsolved feelings that haunt me. It's too late to heal, I'll lay them to rest. How can I move on when everyone I see still talks about you? How can I move on when all the best things I have we made together? Here's to letting go, but I am lost in a void with your ghost and our memories, lest we forget the great reset. If I could bring you back, there are truths and confessions I tell you.
I'm gonna have to fade it out there before I end up listening to the entire song the whole way through. What? I'm gonna start crying now. This song made me cry so much whenever I first heard it because it was like this emotion coming out of nowhere, like real emotion. And like, okay, so "Map of the Paramatique" is my favorite song for a reason because like like the whole "I can't get it right since I lost you and I met you" that Matt does for that, and just the emotion coming through that song, um, is obviously it's really relatable to like anyone and everyone for heartbreak and all that. And again, it was this Matt writing a simple song and just hitting on like a pretty basic and understandable human emotion. And this song being just this delicate piano ballad of Matt by himself, alone and vulnerable, doing these super vulnerable lyrics, and pretty good lyrics at that. and having that emotion again, one of the key words, the earnestness, and it just feeling so genuine, and I like almost being able to feel like Matt, like just like singing out that emotion on the piano, and the pain, and the how can I move on when all the best things I have we made together, and how that feels, and how much like that is just such an easy relatable thing, but how everyone goes through it, whether it be love or just general loss or mourning, and how impossible like I'm choking up now thinking about it, and I did bawl to this song, especially whenever it builds, but like the here's to letting go, but I'm lost in the void with your ghosts and your memories, like that being a mature look at things, but still just getting caught in like knowing you have to move on, and knowing things can't work out, or knowing things can't change, or knowing things can't go back to how they were, whether it be through your own fault or just like life, and having that like just have like again like it's hard for me to put together like how much this song means to me, and I just having sorry, my brain is just gone now because of this song. I love it, and just that building piano, and just it being Matt, and just Matt having so much emotion. I know that the song was supposed to seemingly recorded with the cry sleep stuff and based around that, and like but getting put on here it just feels so different. Like this is Muse's best ballad by far. Matt did tremendous work in this, and the vocals are just so good, and it's just so beautiful. And I I don't know what more I could say. Like this, like I don't know, my emotion over it is probably telling more than I can actually ever articulate. I love this song. I do. Um, and again, like so, the original name of the song was going to be "The Great Recess." It's Ghost and How I Move On. Uh, like so the original name was going to be The Great Reset, and that is like I know that stirred some controversy because it's like the economic recovery plan for things all falling apart. But like this reminds me of like what old Matt would have done, of turning like one of these um like these big like tumultuous like notions or events, and turning it into something relatable, um is something I feel Matt has lacked in quite a while. Like he's done stuff like MK Ultra, and I'm really emotional over this. He's done stuff like MK Ultra and other things like that, and uh that mentions like famous big things like this, and then yeah, the grand chessboard. I would say that was related to Eurasia and all that. But like taking this big idea and this big famous like horrible thing or whatever, and putting it into the basic emotion of like yeah, you're gonna have to break yourself down to like I guess move on or whatever it is, or you're being broken down to move on, is the hopelessness of that is just so good, and it works so well with what Matt is, and this is like such a uniquely Matt song, I think, and I don't think anyone else would bring up the Great Reset with this kind of stuff, and it works so well, and it melts so well together, and it's just such a beautiful song, and the lyrics are so good and mature and perfect, and there's nothing cringe about it for Matt to do a ballad, and I can't believe I just said that. I really can't believe I just said that, and they yeah, this I mean, Matt smashed it out of the park on this. I'm excited to see if how they do this live, if they do this live. But again, yeah, like obviously they talked about an Adele song, and it has those Adele vibes and all that, and it works so well. And uh, let's just jump through to like towards the end of the song. Um,
How can I sleep with this coldness beside me? How can I sleep with this coldness inside me? I know I I can't bring back your love. How can I move on when everyone I see still talks about you? How can I move on when all the best things I have remain together is to letting go? But I am lost.
Like, just wow, like wow, and just that explosion of emotion as, like, again, like, he's been singing about it for a while now, and then this is like the final thing where it's like, yeah, okay, I know what's going on. Like, I've talked through my remorse, my everything else, and I just know that none of it's gonna matter, and I still have to, like, I'm still facing just like being stuck here in the void, as he says, and I'm really blown away by the song, and it felt like Matt was like mired down in like a lot of like love songs to end up like, I mean, unintended. It felt like the maturity barely moved on from that. Madness was close, but there was a few lyrics that like pulled that away, and then Dead Inside was like a really fun and like a solid like love song with a toxic relationship, but had some awkward lyrics, and I love that song, but it has awkward lyrics. This is just a solid earnest look at the mental state of someone struggling with guilt and remorse, or any of those feelings that can be had over a breakup or loss. And it's simple, it's to the point, and it works. And Muse need to do that more often. Matt needs to do that more often. Like, wow. I can only just keep saying wow. It was such an unexpected hit. And I knew that this was probably going to be the Adele song, and even then it was like, man, this is not what I expected, and just wow. And I'm so glad that Chris and Dom, and seemingly especially Dom, wanted to have this song on the album, because it ties so much together, and it adds something that Muse was missing with Matt's songwriting over ballads. And I don't want that to like sound like I don't want it to be like backhanded compliments to Matt. This is really amazing, and I hope he can keep that going. And I know that is going to end up being a backhanded compliment, so I don't want it to be like that. I truly love this song, and I am amazed, and Matt is like an absolute fucking genius, and he's showcased that in more ways than he ever has before on this album already, and we still have half of it to go that prove it more. And yeah, I've not been this connected to Muse in forever, and I am so happy with them. I'm so happy with Matt at the actual top of his game. No condescension or sarcasm there at all. Right, again, so to go with the changeover, let's end up Ghosts and go into song 6. You make me feel like it's Halloween.
From my
Wow. Wow, again, I that's 2 hours in a row. I'm still emotional over over Ghost, but all that emotion and then going into this song and how that starts out and how absolutely bonkers it is with like the bass line, the synth, the church organ and all this Halloween stuff, and then the Halloween vocoder and like a serious topic of the domestic violence through the lockdown and all that, and how like victims have to deal with lockdowns and like being like more stuck um with their abusers than ever. But like, wow, again, uh I love Panic Station. This is like funky like Panic Station and has a beat and it's dancey and it's fun and has true meaning behind it. Think this is going to end up being one of my favorite Muse songs. I mean, these all are, but this is like so fun, so fresh. It's got that 80s vibe to it, but it's so fresh. It's so funky. It's so cool. And like wow. The pre-chorus bit with the I'm shackled, there's no way I can escape, and then that leading into like the layers, very very ABBA, very ABBA, and then that turning into like like a Michael Jackson kind of 80s pop song thing, and being an 80s pop song overall is really cool. Lyrics are fine. They're I'm not going to say they're trying to make light of domestic violence, but like they're trying to like it's not trying to make light of it. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. It's like it's in the context of the song and it being like I guess like an 80s slasher thing, or like a not really Stranger Things, but that kind of like 80s vibe and all that. Like it fits in with how like an 80s movie would tackle a serious thing, I guess, or that, and I guess it's like you've got that undercurrent of how it is. So like the lyrics fit with the vibe and will fit with describing like the actual pain of it. So like like imagine, I guess, like a music video of like an awareness thing of like showing thing that's like like a bit campy and all that, but like obviously the message then is like a lot deeper and a lot harsher. So like like you make me feel like I'm on the run. Where do you hide the gun, the kitchen knife in your hand? Are you the poison? Are you the cure? I'm not so sure. Like that is fucking haunting whenever you think about it deeper of it being the domestic violence stuff and all that. So like I feel it is good at like portraying like this fun funky vibe with this horrendous look at stuff, and I guess how like Matt saw that, and how reading all the stuff of the increased domestic violence with lockdowns and that, and how that affected victims. It's certainly an interesting take on things, and having that be like part of like one of the best pop songs Muse have done, if not like the best, well the best dancey pop song. Compliance is dancey pop too, but like it's close to Compliance for me, and that says a lot considering how much I love Compliance too, and it's certainly around like Panic Station and that, but just like having then like with the catchiness of like you make me feel like it's Halloween, like it's so catchy, it's so fun. I love the line when you skulk around the house. It feels so quintessentially British of Matt to do, and I like it taps into like more of that personality of Matt, I feel, and like and him being personable, and that's again you feel that across the album, and yeah, so having all that hidden in a horror movie thing, cool shit. Really amazing song. It sounds so good. There's so many layers to it. There's so many things going on in the background. That bass sounds so good. And then yeah, like if we go up here to the solo bit and some of the drums and the guitar. love that. I love the scream. I just love the build of that entire song and how it goes, and the solo and the drums work so well together, because like it does really feel like Michael Jackson. Specifically for me, it sounds like the intro to the black and white music video, and how the drums sound, and how the guitar tones sound. You know, like a lot of this stuff is very Michael Jackson mixed with ABBA and just like other basic 80s stuff, and it's a great homage, and it feels very musy still as well, which is amazing. And like I haven't even talked about like Matt's flow and the vocals through the verses are bloody amazing. So yeah, wow. I mean, just wow. I wow, it's an amazing song, and like to finish it off again, let's go to the final bit. Those drums are absolutely ridiculous, and then like including the typical like the trope of that Bach piece in there with like a scary Halloween thing on the church organ. It's a really cheesy fun end, and it's like good cheese. This is like good Muse cheese. This is good. This is Panic Station Muse cheese with a message to it, which they haven't done yet, and that is amazing. And again, they've wowed me. It's such a good pop. It's like this could be a hit. Even like I always thought Panic Station should have got pushed better by Warner, and I hope Warner really pushes this, because this is a tune, and it's so catchy, and so much of this album is so catchy, and the lyrics are good enough to be not be catchy and like a ha ha ha, this is so funny, isn't it, underneath, if you really think about it kind of way. It's so good, and there's so much depth to everything, and there's so many layers to the instruments, and so much depth to the music and the lyrics across the board, and it's just like, where has this Muse been? Where has this Muse been? We're 6 songs in now, and we still have like my favorite stuff to come, or close to my favorite, and it's so confusing because there's just like so much going on across the album, and that they were able to like pump so much into a 38 minute album is wow. Anyway, yeah, I guess we know where we're going next. Something I've already talked about, and something I've loved quite a bit. You know, it's funny listening to that there now. It's like Man, I forgot how much I love this. And it's not like it hasn't even been that long since I listened to it, but like I've been talking about so much of the other stuff. It's like, yeah, Killer Bee Kills here as well. I love this song. And this exemplifies again of what this album is. So it's like, yeah, Muse do their styles and try different styles. It's like, oh, here, we'll do this song, we'll do that song. But it's like, the difference with this album now, it feels like, oh, Muse are going to do like a funky song. Muse are going to do a punk song. Muse are going to do a metal song. Muse are going to do like a pop metal song. Muse are going to do this. Before it would have been like, oh, this is Muse doing that. It's more like, oh, this is a metal song that happens to be by Muse. If you get like the difference and distinction I'm trying to make with that, as in like, yeah, it's they like it's as if like it's not like they're trying to do a song and like emulating in their own style. It's like they've actually done that style and brought it towards them. In a sense of like, it's not like it's overly Muse. It's like, oh, it's just like this would fit in with like a metal band or whatever. It feels like they've really worked on getting that sound right and getting it working properly. And like, I've done a video on Killer Be Killed, so like I'm not gonna go deep on it again. But that snare, the drums, the bass, that bass drop, the whatever the guitar is going and the whammy's going, and you've got like the synthy thing in the right ear, the like the lyrics, the vocals, the layering of synths, the arpeggios through the choruses, the drums in general. Again, that snare snap, the toms through the pre-chorus, the double bass through the double bass drum, the double kick through the chorus. The eventually then like I mean, let's just go on to it just to get a bit of it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I decided to leave the lyrics going there for a bit just in case you couldn't work out what the yeah was. No, seriously, like I was just gonna do like the chugging like bridge part of the breakdown and all that, but like then I was like, oh yeah, the solos here, and it's like there's so many layers to the song again, and it's like Muse going back to I guess throwing in some of the prog metal, I guess, and it's the longest song on the album and it deserves to be, and it works so well. The riff is so good, it sounds so good, it looks like it's gonna be so good live. I cannot wait for this song next year. I love this song. And I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but I do. I love this song. I love how it sounds. I love where it is. I love all the instruments in it. I think the bass sounds fine in the mix. I know people have complained about it, but like through whether it be my earphones, my sound bar, or any speakers or hi-fi speakers or car speakers, I can hear the bass and it sounds good and it works well with the metal song. I don't find it too low in the mix at all. And the drums, man, the drums in that song are so huge. The guitar sounds so good. The solo so good. That the death growl war with the distorted voice and there's just so much to the song and it's just so good. It is so good. It's one of Muse's best and I love it. And like just and the way that the verses just sound so good and like an 80s metal thing, I guess, with being so melodic and like with it having so much melody through it and the way the guitars work and the way like and then going the da 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 bum 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 and then like breaking back into like the melodic verse whenever you have the middle like breakdown bit again in the verse, and it's just like there's just so much to the song and the lyrics are good about like I guess mental health and all that, and some breakdowns and that again. And like I find the lyrics good, and I haven't really mentioned it enough, but like so much of this album drips with like black holes and feels for me and that era, and obviously like allusions will be made towards this and say Assassin, Grand Omega Bosses, and other maybe Absolution stuff as well. And this album and this song specifically, especially, I mean, drip with those era of Muse. It feels like very 2005 Muse wrote this, including Matt mentioning demons. So just wow. Wow, I've got a longer video on it, so like I can get my deeper thoughts on it there. But so I don't repeat myself and end up doing like this for 17 hours. But wow, again, I'm turning into Owen Wilson, or is it Luke Wilson? Whichever one of the Wilsons. Wow, it's great. It's great. I'm so happy with that song. I'm so happy with it. Right, well, song 8 then. The short of being the longest song by a couple of seconds. Something very different from Muse, I guess. Verona.
Can we kiss with poison on our lips? Well, I'm not scared. Can we touch and taste forbidden bliss? They can't stop us now. I won't let you be alone. I am coming for you. Keep us apart. It's too much to ask. We're running away. Take off your clothes and take off your mask. It's not over now. I won't leave you in the dark because I need you so. Can we kiss? Contagion.
I love Matt's vocals in this song so much. I know I keep like basically just like fanboying over it, but this album has unleashed full fanboy mode in me. So yeah, Verona, you know, we're talking about Romeo and Juliet and all that. So like, you know, Poison the Lips and all that. You know, whatever. It's a pretty typical. It's a pretty basic song, and if, you know, it's very 80s. The opening actually reminds me a lot of White Lies, and it feels like White Lies could have done this. Harry probably would have went a bit different with or whoever else in White Lies, any of the songwriter would have went a bit different with the lyrics choices, I think. But for what Matt's going for, this, you know, this still feels a very Muse song, and again, good lyrics, so, like simple, to the point, and just of this of where it is, and the way that song builds, and the way the synths build, and then you get the looping U2 guitar stuff going on, and the way that things keep building, and then like, you know, like just stuff keeps building and it gets louder, and like it, like this sense of this, like, I guess forbidden love and all that stuff, and this love together, you know, I mean, it's Romeo and Juliet, so, you know, like that story and how that builds, and and how brash they were with young love and all that, and that building emotion as they get closer and get more attached to each other, and how again that just keeps bubbling up. It sounds really great, and it's amazing how repetitive it is with all the loops and all that. I mean, Gary certainly mentioned all the loops, and like it sounds so different from Muse, and it's the constant build and the gentle build and the delicate touch and like the almost meticulous nature to it. It somehow feels very not Musey while being a Muse, like having that Muse touch to it at the same time, and it makes it feel different. I think the guitar tone makes it feel different, and Matt's voice is so good in this, so good, and the this being what Muse should have gone for years ago on their U2 on Matt's like U2 approach after playing with U2, and how they had a couple of songs where Matt tried to like vocally be Bono, whereas this feels like they were like, okay, you know what, we'll do like a Bono-esque thing, but we'll still use Matt's vocals as they should be. And this feels like more Matt staying true to himself and maybe finding himself and getting that U2 edge in and making a U2 style song while retaining more Museness than before. So it doesn't feel like Muse trying to emulate U2. It feels like Muse embracing a U2 side to themselves. And that's that's great, because U2 has some amazing songs, like, and it feels less of a parody with it being so simple and solid, and it feels like again that earnestness that comes in because of that. There is a point I want to get to in the song now that kind of blew me away. Right, so I'm going to stop it there because there's another bit I want to talk about in a second that is coming up like right now. But that particular bit, just the way it builds, and then like, you know, so we are building up to this moment, and then just like this explosion, and the drums come in, and you've got like just Matt like echoed off in the background, pushed to the background of the mix and all that, with the heavy echo going on with the vocals, but just these drums being so clean, and the guitar just still going, but like having been built up with all this stuff around it and all these layers going on and layers upon layers, and how good that sounds. It feels so different from Muse and yet so wonderful, and obviously taps into a lot of that 80s stuff, not just from like U2, but like just general 80s things. And it's a style that I guess I'm surprised to see Muse do, and they've done it so well, and with them doing it so well first try, it fits into just more of how, like, I guess the pandemic and that just gave them a lot of time to think about these things and to piece these things together better, and they seem to have become like even better musicians for it, and just the songwriting is off the charts, I think, and the way things are pieced together, everything feels placed perfectly and with reason, whereas before songs, like, again, I think Pressure feels like it's a chorus too long, whereas this feels like they actually looked into that and made sure that, oh, hey, there's enough going on here that we can like move, you know, that we can fit this here. What do we need to make this interesting, and why should this be here? It all feels very purposeful, and that is, again, fantastic. Another bit now I want to play is this next bit, because like with the end of Liberation, it feels like something Muse would not have done before.
You and me throw caution to the wind, and I will risk everything just to feel the warmth and the voltage of your skin. If this is my last day on earth, I just want to be with you. You are all that's true. We will kiss with poison on our lips.
Like, I just love that bridgy verse and how that sounds. I can't express enough like how great that sounded, and it just feels like something that Muse would not have done before, and it feels like something like Matt like restraining himself and holding himself back. He talked like I heard that on You Make Me Feel Like It's Halloween, that he felt like they restrained themselves in the guitar more than they normally would. Vocally, it feels like he held himself back for this, and it adds so much to like the general feel of it. And I love the lyrics that you and me throw caution to the wind. I would everything just to feel the warmth and voltage from your skin. I think that You and Me Throw Caution to the Wind just really sets up that entire verse, and it suits the song so well for like the final bubble of I guess them accepting the fate of death for love with the "We will kiss with poison on our lips." But yeah, the "You're All Is Through" bit, and like the bit that feels especially you two is if this is the last day on, if this is my last day on earth, I just want to be with you. That feels like a very U2 lyric, and I can almost hear Bono singing it in that style. So that's like the closest Matt seems like he's come to Bono, but it doesn't feel like he's trying to imitate Bono. It's like something that some of the vocals on like say Big Freeze sounded. It feels like he's sticking with himself and staying within a range where he comes across as himself, but like you can get the Bono influence off him, and that is very mature of Muse. And I'm very excited to see what they do in the future, if they can maintain this thought process and way that they've pieced things together. I guess I'll go with the Wilsons again. Wow, yeah. So like that's that, and it ends fantastically. It really does end fantastically. Lul, I forgot to unmute in OBS. Hold on a second. Oh boy. Well, I'm not cutting that out. My mistake is stay there just to show how much of a professional I am. Right. No, this bit. No. No. I don't want to. Oh god, I've ruined it. Yeah, so like now that I've completely ruined that and accidentally played a bit of Euphoria and just completely fucked up getting the audio right, I've been recording here for a couple of hours. I'm not going to change that. That can stay in as a goof. Why not? Yeah, I love the way it ends. I didn't play Matt's vocal there, but like it just ends with that crescendo. I guess they've accepted the fate, or the fate has happened, and then obviously the synths suddenly die out, and it's like it's I love the way the synths sound and the way they eventually die out, and it's very moving, and the way it's so delicate at the end after all that build and emotion, and it just becomes like this vulnerable little thing again off to close it out, to really cement the story of Romeo and Juliet is super. I love the synths. Some of the best sounding synths Muse have done. They sound so good. Alright, well I actually played a bit of it already, so I'm such a professional. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, song 9. 2 more to go. This is Euphoria. So, speaking of dripping with black holes from Killer Be Killed earlier, this is so crying shame. It fits in so much. It's better than Crying Shame. It's funkier. It's gonna have a beat. So it's like Crying Shame if Crying Shame was like even more made into change from the surfboard guitar, which I guess was like more like a off of like a 50s 60s thing. I guess if it was like Crying Shame had been updated to sound like what music sounded like whenever Crying Shame was released in terms of like say a pop indie pop punk pop indie punk pop alternative rock stuff. um the drums, Dom's drumming is very much like that. It's like very bravery, very like Strokes, very that kind of era of music. So like it feels like Muse caught up with the Black Holes era and made a song that suits the Black Holes era today. In terms of like what would have been like contemporary then, and it's really fucking good. Lyrics, these are definitely the most basic lyrics we're looking at. So this is like looking at like something that Matt could have wrote on Simulation Theory, but it doesn't have like the added cringe to it. Like it's a solid song. So Euphoria has been like my weakest song, probably because I don't like. I hadn't found myself getting very attached to it because like lyrically it's fine, but like the more I listen to it, like the music just keeps standing out more and more, and there's so many layers to this again. You've got like so whenever it first opens, it sounds an awful lot like Blockades for the intro. Like an awful lot like Blockades, like we're talking about like it sounded exactly like Blockades almost. And that adds, like the feel like, oh yeah, we could fit it on the Simi T. But then like once the lyrics hit, once that verse hits and it goes more into that like pop punk flow, and the way Matt goes like, shut down, we are growing spiritless, and like chants it out like I can't think of the band that I'm trying to think of from that era, but there's certainly one that like it certainly is very like, and I mean with the lyrics are fine, and then the song itself just elevates it. So this is maybe the one song where the lyrics are being carried then by the instruments and the music, which is like we have it in there. Muse have made their like a really good, solid, like poppy punky alternative song, and the more I listen to it, the more I grow on it, and I do like some of the lyrics, like the ones as we go down, the we're running out of air, so start a fire and spice up this love affair. I think that's pretty cool. That's a pretty nice flow to it. It sounds good. It doesn't sound like typical Muse, although I do like the pre-chorus of the brooding. I need renewing. I want satisfaction. A gut reaction. It sounds good. It sounds like old Matt, and it sounds good, and it doesn't sound cringy. I really like the use of brooding. I wasn't expecting that brooding. Sounds really solid, and but I do like the Give Us Euphoria. I need to numb all the pain. So like it's Muse tapping into like I guess a dystopian thing, and I guess using like I guess it's like finding that distraction, whether it be like more of a drug distraction or whatever, and it can be put into the pandemic and all that, and I guess maybe trying to find like maybe entertainment through the pandemic, or find something like to take you out of this world, especially with the shutdown. We're growing spiritless if no one cares, and who is going to save us. So I guess like focusing on where we were and like so much apathy in the world, and how I mean like Verona, everything will fall apart, how we're like with everything falling apart, look, we do need something to pick us up. So it's like just like latching onto those things that distract us, and like just keeping us going, I guess. And it's a pretty fucking down song for such an upbeat thing to have it like looking for like these things just to keep us going, and I guess keep us from destroying ourselves and keep our minds going even though they are destroyed. So it's like trying to distract from that mental health issue. Again, it's fine. The lyrics are fine for that. It's a fine story. It feels like it would certainly fit on many Muse albums, but it's like in the upper echelons. And then like musically, it sounds so good and it's so catchy, and it's just like in your face going. And I really like Crying Shame, and this feel like, so having that and probably having something I think better than that musically is interesting. I think I prefer Crying Shame lyrically. at least in the verses. I don't know. It's tough. This is one that I think I'm gonna need to like come back to like get a real opinion on it, because again, I've not latched onto it. It has been my least favorite. It's kind of taking over Liberation. It and Liberation are battling like below. So they're the two that are battling like 8.5, while everything else is like a 9 or a 10. That's how good this album is. There is a point I want to go to on the song as well, just to showcase a couple of points actually. Right, I'll just quickly cut that a second. Yeah, so like that guitar solo is very, very Strokes. Like I could hear that going into like a lot of Strokes songs or something like that. Like just the tone, you know. So like again, like it fits in with that whole like mid-noughties era stuff. So that, you know, that's pretty fine. That's pretty cool. And then, like, I guess Matt's vocals towards the end here. We'll just jump to that and move on, because I don't have much else to say in Euphoria. Really great song. And the fact that it's an 8 out of 10 for me, but I still can't project, you know, because it just sounds so good. But everything else is, like, emotionally drained me. Says a lot. So for this to be one of Muse's weaker songs, whenever you compare it to, like, some of the other weaker songs, like Exopolitics, it's above Exopolitics. And that is amazing. And I really wonder where this album is going to end up in like my long-term favorites. Anyway, right, so the end of this. Like, I love the guitar at the end. And let me try and find the vocals towards the end. Yeah, so there's no way Matt's going to hit that live, but it sounds really good on studio. And again, the mixing is fine. Like, I've not even talked about the mixing, because that's because the mixing is solid all across the board. So yeah, that's the bad song, or one of the two bad songs on the album. What a fucking treat this album has been. Anyway, now on to one that I don't know where it's going to end up. I love it to bits, and it is a 10 out of 10. And I don't even know where to put it on like my favorite songs list, because it is just wow. Anyway, I don't know. We are fucking fucked.
Are we playing together?
The black thick of
Where am I supposed to even like stop this to talk about it? I feel like I should just play the whole song through. We are fucking fucked. By far Muse's best pop punk, or not even pop punk, best punk attempt. Like it's. I know Dead Kennedys are already on Muse Wiki, and it really is. It feels like it could be like in like Tony Hawk 1. It's very like Police Truck or Holiday in Cambodia and all that. It is very like that style, especially vocally. Matt's vocals, the way they go and like the whisper, very showbiz era. It's God, which song am I thinking of from the showbiz era? Whispering. It's not Twin. No, it is Twin. No, Spiral Static. No, yeah, no. The verse isn't Spiral Static. The flow and the vocals and the instruments and all that remind me a bit of like how it goes in Spiral Static. Whenever he's all whispering like like that's Spiral Static, clearly a top cover by me. But no, like like now that I think about it, like it reminds me a lot of that. So like you're tapping into that older Muse stuff, but like combining it with this punky attitude. That would suit like a Dead Kennedy thing. And then whenever we get into the chorus and how that builds and we're at that store, another world war, wildfires and earthquakes at foresaw, and the way the drums build up and then like they repeat the chorus and then the we are fucking fucked. Like it sounds so good. It's such a fucking trip, and it's such a good song for where we are in the world of where we are fucking fucked. And it's supposedly Matt wrote it while he was in a state of anxiety, and I can see it because it sounds like something that would run through my head with any state of anxiety over the last number of years or whatever else, and it suits that, and you can really feel that. And with the start of the song with Dom saying we playing together, and I don't know if the song was actually recorded with them playing it live together or not, but I mean it would be cool if it was. But yeah, like having that in and the and just how that sounds, and how it mixes in like almost like a weird like parts of System of a Down, and obviously we already talked about the Dead Kennedys and Queens of the Stone Age and some Foo Fighters and all that, and just like that general like again like maybe going with the darker alternative or the heavier alternative side of music in like the mid-noughties, and having that in there is pretty cool. It's pretty neat. It's an amazing song, like really like, and me is just going like we are fucking fucked, and just having, I guess Matt having like the balls as the band to just throw out the song like we're fucked. I hated part of the pandemic and how we're going as the world. This is it. This is simple, and the tsunamis of hate are going to find us, and then tsunamis of hate are going to drown us later on, and the virus and everything that's been going on with fucking Russia, and just we are fucking doomed, and we can't get things together at all, and it's hard not to have this attitude. I mean, I literally just said it. It's hard not to have that attitude, and just having this raw emotion come out. It's so endearing to Matt, and it just suits, and it suits as this just like apocalyptic like fucking disdain and apathy, and having already surrendered and just being like we're fucked, I'm not coping with it, fuck this. Amazing song. This could end up being like my favorite Muse song. This could end up being in the lower part of the 20s. I don't know where I'm going to go with it, but I know that it's like going to stick with me because holy shit, this is going to be mega live. Speaking of why it's going to be mega live, another world. We are fucking fucked. We are getting fucking fucked. Right, so before we go to the end of the album, like the breakdown sounds very much like Queens of the Stone Age. No one knows, or like that style. It's So again, you've got that thing, and you've got like just that whole like then the punky attitude coming through, and just I love the way Matt says we are fucking fucked, and then you have the Queen vocals coming in as well again with the stockpile, which is one of the funniest things I've heard, and it's one of the few like moments I would consider like laugh out loud, like what I would have got like from say United States of Eurasia, but I think it really suits the song and the franticness and that anxiety, and Muse found a place to fit in that one really cheesy Muse thing of just shouting stockpile. Like, that's fucking amazing. And for that to be the one cheesy thing for it to work and work in an amazing song, fucking salutations. I love this song so much. I guess let's just finish it off and let's finish this off, because, I mean, there's not much more I can say about this song that the song doesn't say itself. Like, just, again, the Wilsons. Wow. And yeah, that is... We are fucking fucked. That is the end of the Muse album. That is it. That is just wow. And like, just, yeah, like the way that song closes, like, hey, fuck off. Like, that is going to be so much fucking fun to sing live at the band. And word is that they might be considering that to close instead of Nights, and I would welcome that, because Nights needs to go away for a bit. And I don't know where else this song is gonna go. Gary has said it himself, and I agree. To me, my friend Gary, that yeah, like, what the fuck, I can't imagine this being anywhere in the middle of the set list, and this does need to end the set, and they have something special here, and they really do need to end the set with it, and I hope they do. But yeah, lyrics wise, that song, amazing. Instruments are just all over the place in the best way, and it really exemplifies what it set out to do and what it is: a song recorded in anxiety, showcasing the anxiety of the world, or written in anxiety, and it comes across in that instrumentation, and it's quick, it's brash, and it just goes right for the throat, choking on emotion, as was done across the album. This album has so many ranges of emotion, and this album has so much range. This album has the most range. I guess cutting into like the conclusion now, it's amazing what Muse have done across the board with the album. And it's hard for me to think of an album right now that Muse have done that I like all the songs this much. Even Absolution and that. But like, I can't, like, obviously I'm not going to say like 36 hours into listening to the album that, oh yeah, it's my favorite Muse album of all time. The important thing to say is it is one of the best Muse albums, and this is like a real return to form, like a proper return to form. There was like a musical genius here that felt lacking, and there's like certain aspects of Muse that felt lacking for so long that are here that I thought were gone forever, and then there are parts that I never thought existed in the first place that have been explored, and it's like, it's having the band back that I knew and actually finding something more. This feels like the album that should have followed at least the Resistance, but preferably Black Holes, as much as I love a lot of the Resistance, especially like Exogenesis not existing and all that. But like, this is special. This is a special album. Muse have made a special album of amazing songs, with the worst being Liberation and Euphoria, which are two cracking songs, to say the least. And I'm probably only like appearing down on them. I literally am only appearing down on them because of how good the other 8 songs are. 8 songs that are absolutely amazing, and 2 songs that are really, really great and could be amazing whenever I get used to them. There's very little novelty here. the novelty that is there isn't really novelty, because like We Are Fucking Fucked is that novelty track, right, in a sense where you'd expect it to be, but like it suits so many times and places, and it just feels like a song to really put on just to get the stress out, and having that live is going to be absolutely mega. And I love Muse for this album. It is special. It is special. It is special. I can't say it enough. It is special, and wow. I can't wait to see where this tour cycle goes. I have my Plymouth ticket, and I'm so excited to see it. And I don't know what more I can say. I've gone through every song now, so I don't know how much more conclusive I can be. Like, this album is just special, and I'm so glad that they've explored themselves in the best way. And it all seems to fit together well. Even the whiplashes and all that, I think, work because the songs are so good. It doesn't feel, again, it's not like, oh, this is Muse's metal attempt followed by Muse's like pop attempt followed by like dubstep or something. This is like, oh, it's like these emotional songs that are based in different genres and work that are from different genres. They're not even based in, they're from different genres that are all Muse songs. And it all fits because it's just emotion and well put emotion and simple basic stuff. And like I think Muse have said before about going, like, I think Drones was like the back to basics stuff. This feels like what should have been the back to basics stuff. It's not just being like just playing guitars and all that. It's about simple songs being built up with like amazing parts to them, or like having amazing bits with like simple lyrics and simple themes and stuff that is relatable. I can feel my throat going, so I'm gonna have to end this now. But yeah, that's it. I know this is a quick ending, I guess, but like, again, what else can I say? I've already spoken for like a couple of hours on this. Just like, wow, this album, man. I'm so excited to see where we go. I really want Muse to record again soon if they're in this sort of mood. Or at least for Matt to please not lose this, because this is special. Again, that comes across like both backhanded compliments and condescending and all that. Like, it's just my opinion on it, This is the most I've felt in touch with them since I was 17. Yeah, throat's getting dry. Since I was 17. It's been that long. It's half my life ago. It's basically literally half my life ago now that I think about it. So of course I want to hook to that. But I really am just so thankful for this album and what it has brought. I feel like my voice is actually going to leave now. So yeah, I'm done. If anyone ever listens to this full thing, hope you had a good time. Do whatever you want. Comment, like, subscribe. Just do whatever pleases you. Just enjoy the album, I hope. And I hope you do enjoy it. I hope you, like, even if you don't enjoy every song like the way I'm doing with this, hopefully you find plenty to enjoy. Or, hopefully you've got other music to enjoy. Like, not everyone's going to love this album. That's fine. I'm not saying that, like, this is just how I feel about it. You just, Oh, I hope you've got plenty of music yourself that you love. I sound like a hippie now. I am off. Take care. I guess I'll be back with album 10. Or maybe we'll talk about the Plymouth gig next year. If whatever other gigs I do. Throat was really going. I should have brought myself a drink for this. I've been talking for so long without breaks. You can tell us without breaks, seeing as I included that mistake. Right. Goodbye.